Hey guys, before we do dive into today's video, I wanted to talk to you about something pretty cool that we added to our MLB dashboard found over on GuyBostonSports.com. I'll pull it up right now and you can see here over on the starting lineup, the batting order projected starting lineup, I should say, we added something called the PMR, which is a formula that I made. The pitch mix rating is what we're calling it. What this does is takes into account what the opposing starting pitcher is going to throw and the percentage of time and weighs that within our formula based on how they hit those pitches. So really, really cool, guys. You can see the higher number is going to be a little bit more green. The lower numbers will be a little bit more red. Obviously, green is good, red is bad. So a cool new thing that we added to our dashboard. If you guys don't want access to that dashboard, head over to GuyBostonSports.com, hit the members area, and consider signing up today. Now let's get to the video.
All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel.
I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3, 4 more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, July 9th. I said June yesterday, July 9th today. Can't confirm that. We got a 15-game MLB slate to dive into in today's video, like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. Yesterday was an absolute roller coaster. Now, from the looks of it, you're probably like, it's not the greatest of nights, right? We go 4-5-1, which sounds like a losing night, but it wasn't. Our bigger plays at the top there. Rangers money line, the Pirates and Royals first 500, both full unit plays. We end up taking away, I believe it was, let me double check here. I believe we ended up pulling out either 0.5 units of profit or 0.6 units of profit, which is good the way the night was looking, right? Like all of those L's at the bottom were some of the earlier games. I was like, man, oh man, this is not looking like a good night there. But yeah, ended up profiting right around a half unit, maybe a little bit more because our bigger plays hit. So you know what? I guess we managed our units pretty damn well yesterday. In terms of that actual, what we came out, let's see, we have it right in front of us, 0.63, so a little bit even more than I had thought. So yeah, a good night yesterday. In terms of our ride of the day, man, Parlay Guru's on fire, pumping some crowd noise for the man. Ride of the day, this one we got at +122. 2 plus money cashes that Parlay Guru has now hit. Jack Flaherty over 2.5 earned runs. Those are the only 2 runs the Rays scored in the entire game, so I had to sweat that one out. And Brandon Young over 2 earned runs there. Both guys allowed 2 earned runs exactly, so we kind of had to sweat it. Brandon Young with the immaculate inning. Man, oh man, that was a sweat too. So Parlay Guru got the job done. There's no pictures on the scorecard, right? Shout out to him. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day down in the comments. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. We also track you here on the ride of the day tracker, and you can see Parlay Guru off to a nice little start here. If you do win, we continue to roll and ride with your plays, but if you lose, you get the shout out, but you got to face the womp womp on the soundboard. So yeah, it can be a little scary there, but if you're up for it, get those hashtag right of the days down in the comments. Looking forward to seeing what Parlay Guru drops at our feet today. Let's go ahead and dive into this slate, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get rocking. We have Tampa Bay taking on Detroit. So in the first couple games of the series, it's been Detroit 5-1 and 4-2 in those victories. I don't necessarily like the idea of them, sweeping Tampa Bay here. But the one thing that's in the back of my mind is Tampa Bay has a series with Boston in Boston right after this. Maybe it's a little bit of a look-ahead spot. Littell's been very good, though, and he already has a decent start against this Detroit team. So I think for the money right now, +135, this would probably be a Tampa Bay spot. I don't know if we actually get there. We had Tampa Bay yesterday for the plus money. They end up blowing it. They were up 2-1 or 1-0, then 2-1, and they end up losing 4-2. But ultimately, I don't necessarily want to just sit here and fade Reese Olson either. I say Littell's been good. Reese Olson's had a decent year as well, and he's coming off of a couple good starts in a row. So this is a tough one. I could get convinced of a first 5 under. That was something I was kind of circling here, but looks like we're going to have some good weather there in Detroit. And for whatever reason, I feel like this Tampa Bay offense that was red hot will erupt at some point, and it could kind of poo-poo that away. So I'll lean Tampa Bay and the under and first 5 under, but both those may just stay as leans today if I'm being transparent here. All right, Milwaukee taking on the Dodgers. Glass now on the mound going up against Jose Quintana. I started to kind of look at Glass now over 1.5 earned runs. The problem is I don't know how many innings we're going to get out of him, right? He only has a handful of starts under his belt so far this year, but none of them are all that great. Obviously, coming back from an injury, I don't know if we necessarily want to jump the gun and take a peek at him, right? So I do kind of get a little concerned wanting to take any over on him, even though I think it's because Milwaukee can hit him. If he doesn't pitch that many innings, we kind of run the risk of not having the time there, right? Ultimately, this is a spot in which, I think I want to back Milwaukee again. Much like we just talked about Detroit, though, they are on the verge of sweeping, and not just sweeping anybody. They could sweep the Dodgers today. The Dodgers offense has looked horrific. Last 5 games here, 1 run scored, 4 runs scored. Okay, give them the 4, right? Then 1, 1, and 1 in the next 3 games. So I almost don't want to. And we got a couple comments saying the exact same thing yesterday, paraphrasing, but the exact same thing, saying, I don't want to back this Dodgers team until they show us that they can hit again. And I think that is totally valid. So I'm going to lean towards Milwaukee. Unfortunately, yes, it's another spot in which I don't mind telling you guys that I think it's just going to stay as a lean. Don't even need to check the pin comment for this one. In terms of the total, though, right? This sitting at 8.5. Milwaukee's offense has looked good. Yesterday they scored 3 runs, but it was enough. But they've looked good. But the Dodgers offense really hasn't. And I would say either one of these teams shows up today, and there's a chance the other one doesn't. So you're playing with fire here. I'm still going to lean towards the over because I don't think Quintana is going to be all that fantastic. But I also think that Milwaukee can get a decent share off of Glass now, right? Which could be a little worrisome. He has some really good numbers against these players on the Milwaukee team in the past. But ultimately, I don't trust, the fact that he's going to just hum fastball in there and then slider as a second pitch. Milwaukee's seeing both those pitches well right now. So, yeah, I do think I want to get to Glasnow's over 1.5 earned, but kind of worrisome that, we're sitting here looking at a pitcher that may only go 3-4 innings, and it's like, that might not be enough time. That's what it comes down to. All right, next up we have the White Sox taking on Toronto, and we have Eric Lauer on the mound going up against Adrian Hauser. Eric Lauer has been decent, right? In fact, you could say pretty good. But Adrian Hauser, 2 starts in a row, 7 innings pitched, 0 earned, just 4 hits. Next start, 8 innings pitched, 0 earned, just 4 hits. The one thing I will say is that was against the Giants on the road, right? So the Giants aren't as good of an offense on the road. And then it was against Colorado, but it wasn't Coors. So I think we can give Hauser a little bit of credit, but even Colorado made, Brian Bayo last night, who I know well as a Red Sox fan, is not as good as he looked. He made him look great. So Eric Lauer should be pretty good here. I think I'm going to go Toronto money line just because the odds you're getting at -147. It seems like you're too late to the bandwagon and all that. I get it. But how can you fade this team that is just absolutely crushing the ball right now, right? They're batting well. They're pitching well. They really haven't had the toughest of competitions. You can even say that Yankees series was tough. I do give you that because I think they had to score like double-digit runs to get those wins. But the Angels, the White Sox, before that, the Red Sox and the Red Sox were in a rut. So, yes, there are reasonings and rationales to be made about this Toronto team, but they're playing the White Sox, right? And, I don't think this White Sox team is all that good. Newsflash. So give me Toronto on the money line. I just worry about the sweep, which you guys know if you watch every day. I'm just a wimp when it comes to trying to take a team that's about to sweep. But I can't pass up, the Blue Jays in the 140s against this White Sox team. So far in this series, it's been -160 and -190 yesterday, right? So feel like we're getting a little bit of value here. I just hope Hauser doesn't go out there and absolutely shove. He throws the sinker, which is a pitch that Toronto hits well. In terms of the total, I kind of consider the team total over, but again, are we just too late to the party for Toronto? I'm not all that sure, but I lean Toronto and their team total over. Don't really want to touch the White Sox here. I could, if you do like the over, I get it though. They are a little bit better against lefties, Eric Lauer being a lefty, so I guess that's worth noting, but still, if I'm taking a total here, it's probably just Toronto-centric. And one player prop that I'm looking at here, and by the way, guys, this is Outlier. If you have not checked out Outlier yet, you're absolutely missing out. And what I would consider probably the best sports betting research tool out there for the cost for sure. You're going to get a 7-day free trial with the link down in the description. I'll also put it in the pinned comment. 7 days free to see for yourself if this thing is real deal. After that, it's really affordable. Just $19.99 a month. So you hit a couple plays with this or a play with this, you're cruising, right? It's paying for itself. That is just the basic version, which is what I'm looking at here. You can also pay a little bit more for the pro version, get some EV tools, some arbitrage tools, middling tools, all that to help you become a profitable sports bettor. So definitely go check it out. I mean it. If you're hearing me right now and you're like, man, oh man, I wish I had a better research tool, or I'm losing the MLB season, try this out for 7 days. If you don't like it, don't continue, but I think you'll love it. You'll see why right here. So Austin Slater, the reason I'm liking this one, first off, we can scroll down and look at him against left-handed pitchers, which Lauer is, right? 227 average compared to his 231 this season. He does have a higher WRC plus against it, but even Eric Lauer against right-handed bats, which is what we're going to see Slater today, right? His batting average is 177. WOBA drops down to 274. And the biggest thing here is you can see 313 WOBA on the season for Slater. You look at his fastball. This is against fastballs. Boom. Thing drops down to 234. The cutter, yes, it goes up. But even with the pitch mix, you can see he only hits it when it's hung over the middle. Eric Lauer likes to throw it inside to right-handed bats. The curveball is another pitch in which he has a 0 WOBA against this season. So obviously not the biggest sample size there. My one concern, check this out, 12 plate appearances against, 417 average, 5 hits, 1 homer, 1 RBI, struck out just 16% of the time. So clearly he likes to see Lauer here, but on the season you could see he's hit the under in 78% of games. When he's away from home, 79% of games. Away from home against lefties, just lefties in general, 63, and then away from home against lefties, still 60, and in 3 straight. So I do think that this could be a decent spot to take a peek at today for decent odds on that under as well. Again, guys, go check out Outlier, link down in the description, as well as the pinned comment. 7-day free trial. You cannot beat that. 7 days free. All right, San Fran taking on Philadelphia. Verlander against Jesus Luzardo. I think I like the idea of the Phillies in this spot. Just hoping that their offense can come alive, right? It really hasn't looked all that tremendous, but they do have Jesus Luzardo on the mound, who's been good, right? I mean, he has his ups and downs so far this season. He's coming off of, a couple starts. But what I will say is the San Francisco team has not really been hitting lefties all that well. And it's not like Verlander is the Verlander of old, right? Verlander looks like he's pitching really well against bad teams in the last, I'd say, month or two. But when he gets, serviceable teams, he's going to go 6 innings, 3 earned, or 5 innings, 3 earned, that type of a thing. So hopefully Philly can get to him. I mean, obviously he's going to have decent numbers throughout his career because for so long he was so good. So I don't want to put too much weight into, oh, he's really good against this Phillies team. Not so much like this year in this sense, right? So even I think they played earlier and he had 4 runs earned through like 5 innings. So, right, like this could be a Phillies spot. The problem is the Phillies, are the Phillies bats going to come alive? And can Jesus Luzardo kind of snap back to reality and get going, right? Almost broke into an Eminem song there. But give me the Phillies here for minus 120 odds. I do think that is fair. In terms of what we have from a total, I don't mind the idea of an under in this one. I just don't, I really don't think San Francisco has the best offensive day. I know, famous last words, but I believe we're going to have, cold-ish weathers there in San Francisco. Wind is blowing out, but again, if it's going to be cold, even the Phillies, if their offense kind of clicks, they might only score like 4-ish runs, right? Because it's a team that seems to be a fair weather hitting team. So I'm going to lean towards the under, but I do like the Phillies as well. It'd probably be Phillies' first 5 now that I say it out loud because their bullpen, I don't really love their bullpen against San Fran's bullpen in the first place. And then also they have a lot of guys that have gone in the last couple days. Baltimore taking on the Mets. All right, so this is a kind of a weird one for me because I do lean towards the Orioles, but I think that kind of just comes with an over. So both the Orioles and the over. I'm not really fading David Peterson. I'm just trying to say that I think the price here makes a little bit of sense to take a shot with Baltimore. Do I have the stones and the cojones to drop him on the table and say, hey, let's roll with it? I'm not sure because David Peterson's obviously been very good, right? But what I like here is the fact that, Baltimore could have won that game yesterday for sure. I'm glad that they didn't in a sense because we did have the Mets team total over, but even still, they competed in that game and looked pretty good for the most part. David Peterson has been electric against lefties so far this year. So yeah, there are some lefties in this lineup that he could suppress, Holiday, who went yard yesterday, a couple other guys too, right? Obviously. So sure, I mean, Gunnar Henderson's lefty. You have Cowser, O'Hearn. But that being said, most of the guys in the lineup are righties, and most, 5 or 6, depending on who's going today. And you throw in the fact that Sugano's on the mound, and this guy honestly isn't that bad. Some of his numbers do look pretty rough, but I think the way that he pitches, keeping the ball in the zone, could be good against this Mets team. This Mets team has been scoring a lot of runs with power numbers, right? Lifting the ball, sending it out. We even saw it yesterday. That's how they kind of came back. So if this game is played with the Mets keeping the ball on the ground, I do still think there's runs scored because the Mets are a good offense. That's why I lean towards the over. But David Peterson in that lefty-righty split, especially him being a little bit better at home versus the road, which he's on the road here, I think that Baltimore can score a decent amount of runs too. So I think that the reason, again, that I kind of lean towards in the Baltimore is because if this is just kind of a shootout in a sense, not necessarily like a shootout that we score 15 runs. I just mean that it'll be, 5-4 with a couple innings left, that type of thing. Based on that price at minus 140, minus 145, I can't really just sit there and love the idea of backing Peterson with all that juice. Hopefully that makes sense. Essentially what I'm saying is that for every run that the Mets can score off Sugano, I think Sugano could be okay today, but for every run they can score off him, I do see Baltimore being able to go out there and kind of compete. And for that price, if you're flipping a coin, you want the one that has the plus money. But I'll also lean towards the over. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense. It is price-based. It's not really me fading David Peterson. It's me looking at him being like, okay, there's a little blemish on Peterson there. Maybe that's something that could be attacked. And it's the two things, lefty-righty splits and home-away splits for him. All right, Yankees taking on Seattle. We have Cam Schittler. I honestly think I'm saying that correctly, so YouTube, don't bleep me out or anything. He's making his MLB debut today. I think he's replacing who would have been Clark Schmidt. On the other side is going to be Logan Evans, who honestly has had some good starts, obviously some struggles, some starts too this year. But we don't really know what we're getting out of Schittler, right? So I'm going to sit here and I don't necessarily want to back the Yankees, but I do think that minus 150 is actually, I believe it might be inside minus 150 now that I look at the updated price. The Yankees had minus one. No, it's minus 155. I do think that could make a little bit of sense to roll with, just because I do trust their offense a little bit more. Now, if you look at some of the numbers, you would see Seattle's offenses look pretty good last 30 days and whatnot, but their last 3 games here, I mean, even that Pittsburgh series in general, they won 2 of those games scoring 1 run. So I don't think their offense is cruising. They're in Yankee Stadium. Yankees obviously a team that scores a lot of runs at home. This season, 5.25 runs scored at home. So I think I might like the Yankees, maybe just their team total over. I also could kind of get down with the idea of just an over in general because this kid pitching, we don't know too much about, or at least I don't. I'm not the biggest prospect analyzer. I know there's a ton of people out here that do that really well. So yeah, I guess it's going to be Yankees or the over for me. Maybe, again, Yankees team total over could be something that we convince ourselves of, just because that way we don't have to worry about the young kid pitching. And even if, Seattle doesn't show up or I don't believe in their offense fully, it's not like they're going to screw us in terms of getting to that 10 number, right? We just want the Yankees to go score 4 or 5. All right, Red Sox taking on Colorado. Lucas Giolito on the bump for the Sox. I've had my choice words about him, especially as a Red Sox fan, that I don't really love Giolito whatsoever, right? But in his last 4 or 5 starts, he's looked really, really good. So I'm happy to eat my words if that means the Red Sox are interesting this summer. You know what I mean? Where we would go here is probably fading the other pitcher, Antonio Senzatella. He absolutely stinks out loud. Now, he did have a couple good starts in a row, but that was against Washington, right? Was that 2? I forget when that was, but that might have been 1 start and then another start against someone else. But either way, point being here is that this is just a guy that lets runs come in. And obviously we saw what happened with the Colorado bullpen yesterday, right? I think we're going to keep a similar strategy. So if you missed yesterday's video, one of our final plays was Red Sox team total over 3.5. So we bump it down a little bit, right? Over 3.5. Then we paired it with another offense that we liked. It was the Mets yesterday, over 3.5. Both came through. We cashed. I think we might do that Red Sox-Yankees today. The Sox-Yankees parlay. I just talked about the Yankees and kind of liking their offense against Logan Evans, right? Why not say, okay, Red Sox, go get us 4 today, and then the Yankees hopefully can get us 4 today. We're probably going to get right around minus 118 on that, so Value Police will probably be like, wow, 2-leg parlay for minus 118 isn't all that worth it, but I just don't mind the spot. I think it seems safe, which you never want to say that word in sports betting, but it is what it is. So, yeah, some way, shape, or form, Red Sox team total, that type of a thing. I don't even mind the idea of throwing in maybe, Red Sox money line into that parlay if you need to try and get the odds up. But I think both those teams, Red Sox, Yankees, to go score 4 runs, sounds good to me. Well, it looks like we were right, I guess right and wrong, but right about the Cincinnati's offense kind of being in that rut, right? Which is crazy because I feel like for 2 years now, they've been that team that will score a bunch of runs and then all of a sudden score a bunch of, barely any runs for 5 games at a time. Today, I honestly don't necessarily mind the spot for Sandy Alcantara, but Cincinnati has the blessing and the advantage in Andrew Abbott, who has been very, very good this season, right? Andrew Abbott so far on the year, we have his season numbers right in front of us, 2.15 ERA. He's looked very, very good. Now, I will throw in the fact that he hasn't been as good at home as he has been on the road, which is kind of funny. But Miami, I don't necessarily think gets to him today. He's going to throw the fastball. This is a team that's ranked just 23rd in terms of runs above average against the fastball so far this season. His next pitch is the change. 28th is where they rank. Sandy Alcantara has had his struggles so far this season. I mean, I was a big Sandy guy when he was Cy Young-esque, and this year it's really, really sad to see him play like this. Last time he pitched against the Cincinnati team, 6 innings pitched, 3 earned, 5 hits, 4 Ks, 2 walks. So nothing to brag about or anything like that. He has obviously really good numbers against him in his career, but I do think that this is a spot in which the Reds can get a little bit of revenge here in a sense, right? They've already gotten smoked now in the first 2 games of this series. They do play tomorrow, and Lodolo's on the mound. I don't even mind the spot for both the Reds to win both of these games and kind of even up the series. But for today and for how Andrew Abbott has been pitching, I think this is going to be a spot in which I consider him. He's coming off of a bad start against Philadelphia in Philadelphia as well. So what better time than at home to kind of get back on track against the Marlins offense that shouldn't hit your number 1 and 2 pitches, right? So give me the Reds in this spot. I have no idea what to do with this total because the Reds could win this game 3-1, or they could get to Alcantara and win it, 10-4 if Abbott doesn't pitch well. So I'm gonna say under because I'm backing pitching, not so much the offense. But man, oh man, is it tough to judge a total right now? Honestly, with both of these teams. All right, we got burned here, and I don't even think we got burned. It was just a bad call. But we had the Cubs yesterday, and how'd that one end up, right? What was the final score of that one? We turned it off out of frustration. I think it was like they ended up getting 1 run, but they had their opportunities, just couldn't score. I don't know if it'll be the same today. David Festa on the bump against Cade Horton, and I don't mean to say I don't think it'll be the same backing Cade Horton. I mean, he does throw a lot of fastballs. That's a pitch that Minnesota struggles with, but I don't necessarily love David Festa out here. So I do think that this could be a spot in which we go right back to the Cubs and or back their team total over. But I might be a little scarred in terms of wanting to ride with this squad, right? Just based on yesterday. The Cubs have made us some money this season, so I'm not all that, long-term concerned with them. But yesterday was just tough to watch, man. They made plenty of pitchers from that bullpen look really, really good, which was tough to see. So I'll lean Cubs and their team total over. I don't know if we get there ourselves. I'll keep thinking on it today. Keep an eye on the final plays. All right, KC taking on Pittsburgh. This is going to be something that I think we run right back to what we cashed yesterday, which was that first 500. It was one of our biggest plays of the day. Reason being is both of these pitchers, even using our dashboard, you can jump in here and see, okay, well, Bailey Falter's number is a little bit alarming, but what I love is the pitch mix. Fastball is what we're going to see out of, I guess you could even say fastball and slider is what we're going to see out of Bailey Falter, right? Is his number 1 and 2 pitch. Fastball, Kansas City, just 4th worst in the MLB. That's pretty bad. Slider, bottom 10, right? You flip it over to Chris Bubic, who is obviously the better pitcher in this case. Fastball, slider. Pittsburgh, 29th against the fastball, 28th against the slider. So love both these guys to come out here and pitch fairly well at the start of the game. So I think I might diversify our portfolio here. Gotta say the word, Ev. I would go with first 5 under, but I also don't mind the idea of first 3 under. I think first 5 under is okay, but I do start to worry a little bit about Bailey Falter. I'll be completely honest. So I do think, being able to get that 5 with a little bit more juice for the first 5, but then under 2.5 right now in the first 3 is plus 105. So we get a little bit of plus money there if we can interest ourselves in that first 300. So I think that might be a spot that we look at there. Seems a little bit crafty. Falter hasn't been bad ultimately, and on the road, don't necessarily fully trust him. But again, this is Kansas City's offense, and I don't know if we can fully trust Kansas City's offense altogether. I mean, some of their numbers look good lately, but they're starting games kind of slow. So knock on wood, let's hope they continue that. If I had to pick a side, it would probably be KC first 5 run line, trusting Chris Bubic. I've said it about him and Noah Cameron, right? Both these guys, they pitch good against bad teams and meh against good teams. Pittsburgh's offense is not going to fall into that good category. So give me KC on the first 5 run line, excuse me. All right, St. Louis taking on Washington. This might be something similar that we look at first 5 and first 3 unders. We have Mackenzie Gore, who I think we can trust on the mound for the Nats going up against the Cardinals. I would say for the plus money, back Gore doesn't seem like it's all that terrible, but I would do it in the first 5. So that's going to be my side look. Where I actually think we get down today will be considering somewhat of an under. This Cardinals team doesn't hit lefties all that well, and they actually are dead last 30 days at home against lefties. So that's worth noting, I would say, because they're going up against one of the better lefties in the game. Now, they've played a ton of road games, so not the biggest of sample size, okay? But ultimately, I like Mackenzie Gore against them. He's going to hum fastball in there and curve. St. Louis bottom 10 against the fastball, bottom 10 against the curve. That's great. Where it gets interesting and why we might do half our money on the first 5 under, because I think Mackenzie Gore has the advantage there, but then half of it on the first 3 under is because Palante on the other side of things has 5 straight cashes of the first 3 under. At home this year, 7 of his 10 starts the first 3 under has cashed, and that kind of goes away when you start to look at the first 5. So he's clearly a guy that's way better through the first time in the order, and he's going to go, fastball 47.4% of the time. Washington bottom 5 in the league right now last 30 days at hitting the fastball. So yeah, I kind of like the idea of Palante keeping the ball on the ground, getting through the order once, hopefully getting through the order a couple times in that first 500 cashes, but I like diversifying it and looking at the first 5 and first 3, because if one cashes, the other one doesn't, at least you kind of mitigate your loss a little bit. Throwing a lot of financial terms out here, and those ones I don't even have in my vocabulary, so I don't know what's in my coffee this morning. But yeah, I like the first 5 and first 3 under. I might be getting a little crazy with this. That's 2 games in a row in which we went, first 5 and first 3, but it's still the same amount of risk in a sense, right? We're just splitting up our units to do so and kind of cover our bases a little bit more. It makes sense in this dumb brain. If you don't like it, I would prefer probably just the first 5 in this one. All right, next up, we have Cleveland taking on Houston. This was a bad look for us yesterday. We had Cleveland first 3 under 0.5 in terms of their team total. They scored about $1 million in the first 3, so shout out to Hunter Brown for kind of getting hit around. In terms of this one, we do have a little bit different of a pitching matchup. Slade Ciccone, who's been pretty good, going up against Brandon Walter. Brandon Walter's a lefty, which I think is very, very important against this Cleveland squad. I don't love the juice that we're looking at right now in the mid -130s, but I think I'm going to trust that lefty splits from the offense of Cleveland against pitchers, because they just really haven't been all that great. So give me the Astros here in a bounce back spot, obviously. Ciccone has been good. Again, I'll give them credit, but this is Houston at home. Hoping that we can kind of back them. This year at home, they've won 70% of their last 10, so 7 of their last 10. I think it's 68%. We actually have it here. 66.7, so 67% of their home games. So kind of like that spot. And again, I don't really think Cleveland gets out there and hits again. Yeah, they got to Hunter Brown, but this is a lefty, and Walter's been weirdly enough, not a guy that I absolutely love, but he's been damn good at home so far this season. Hoping that he can give us, a decent amount of innings here to kind of leverage his arm, because I do think he could be in a decent spot. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards Houston, and that's got a chance of being a final play. In terms of the total, I don't mind Houston's team total over. Ciccone is on the other side of things. Is he bad? No, but do I think that he's in a prime spot? Not necessarily. His pitch mix, he's going to throw a lot of fastballs and sliders. Houston, number 1 in terms of hitting the fastball this year, and number 2, last 30 days, and number 2 in terms of hitting the slider. So Houston, go out there and score some runs. I think that that's probably even a better way of looking at it, because they can score runs, and what if Walter doesn't do all that great? Even though I think he could pitch well, just go score runs, Houston, especially with a low total. All right, guys, comment 27 if you made it this far into the video. I didn't expect the response that we got yesterday when we talked about, commenting, I guess, the number of the day, but you guys showed a lot of love in the comments, and it really does make my day. I'm not going to get too sappy. Like I tell you guys, I'm not going to go on a big rant or anything. These MLB videos are already long enough, but just know that I really do appreciate that, right? And I want to make sure I say it in videos, and I know I say it a lot, but the more and more I say it, doesn't make it any less and less true, right? So really do appreciate that. Just the random sort of people showing love in the comments. It's like, hey, we're doing something right here. And then the people hating in the comments, what do I always tell you guys? They don't boo nobody. So we got it pretty good over here, and I have you guys to thank for that. But let's jump into this one. We got the Angels taking on Texas. This ended up being our biggest play yesterday and our best look yesterday, which thank you for that, because we needed it, right? We had more losses than wins yesterday's, but where we allocated our units really, really did matter. Today you have Kumar Rocker against Kyle Hendricks. I don't try, yesterday we really backed Evaldi, and he let up that first run. They were down 1-0. They won 13-1. I don't necessarily love the idea of backing Rocker. He's been, 5 to 6 innings of 2 or 3 earned run for a while now. Kyle Hendricks on the other side of things, in terms of his pitch mix, a lot of sinkers, a lot of changeups. The sinker this Texas team can hit, the changeup not so much. So it's probably still a Texas lean for me, but he's been so bad on the road that it worries me. But one little piece of, that could help us out here is if we do flash up this dashboard, right? Check this out. Okay, against righties, he's actually been good. It's the only thing he's pretty much been good at this year, right? There's a crap ton of righties here in this lineup. Now, the problem is we got 2 switch hitters, so there's going to be 6 righties, 3 lefties, essentially. That's not as good as, if there was a bunch, like 8 righties. But either way, that's still something and a reason that I might still lean towards Texas for the money that we have here. So, yeah, I'm going to lean towards Texas, but I don't like them, either one of these squads, to kind of go out there and score a bunch of runs. So I'll lean towards the under as well. All right, we got the Pods taking on the D-backs. We had the first 3 under in this game yesterday. Turns out we could have just taken the full game under and an alternate line. 1-0 was the final score. San Diego gets the win there. Today, Dylan Cease is on the bump. He's going up against Brandon Pfaadt. Pfaadt, I don't necessarily love, right? And I don't think anyone should love him. We gave him a lot of chances to love him, and it never really panned out. He doesn't have the best numbers here against this current San Diego lineup either, whereas Dylan Cease really does, and he throws that slider. That's going to be a good pitch today. So I would probably lean San Diego, but not at this price, right? Like, this is still a good Arizona lineup. We've seen Dylan Cease struggle at times. In fact, I think he's struggled in like 3 of his last 4. So there's enough reason there for me to actually say, okay, let's stay away from this one. And sometimes when you stay away, it's almost like a net win because the side that you're going down, you didn't really think of the opposite, which I tried to do, but you miss things in this industry, right? So yeah, Brandon Pfaadt could go out there and give you 5 innings of 2 earned run, and that could be good enough if Cease isn't on with that slider, because his slider is really good. We know that, right? It's his main pitch. But think about when he just hangs that slider over the plate. Now you have a team of Marte, Carroll, Perdomo, Naylor, Suarez, like Gurriel, Grichuk. Like, you have a bunch of guys that are like, okay, well, if you're going to hang that slider, we'll hit it fairly well. Now, this is not the best slider hitting team in Arizona, but I'm just saying that pitch, if it's not located well and it's not coming off his hand well, it's a danger zone, and we've seen that with Cease. So I do lean San Diego, not at this price, though. That total sitting at 8. With Brandon Pfaadt on the mound and, thinking there's a chance that Cease might not be on his game, you got to lean over in this spot. Especially after 1-0, there's some bottlenecked runs there, right? Hopefully. All right, Atlanta taking on this A's team, and Didier Fuentes stinks out loud. I hope him the best, but man, oh man, he stinks. He pitched, 1 inning yesterday, and through the first 3 innings, they scored their 10 runs, and then it was 10-1 final score. Like, this A's team only scored in the first 3 innings, then poof. Which is pretty crazy. In terms of where we'd go today, the starting pitching is obviously going to be a little bit different. Bryce Elder versus Mitch Spence. I don't mind the over still in this one. Mitch Spence isn't all that impressive to me. He's going to throw the cutter. He's going to throw, the slider, which are 2 pitches that, honestly, the slider we worry about with Atlanta, but the cutter should be a decent pitch. On the other side of things, Bryce Elder is going to throw the slider and the sinker. The slider's a really good pitch that they can hit. It's kind of the opposite of what we'd seen from Mitch Spence. The slider, this is the number 1 team in the league last 30 days in the A's in terms of hitting the slider, second worst against the sinker. So pick your poison, guys. This could be a 1-0 game. It could be a 20-19 type of a game, right? I'm going to lean over. If I had to pick a side, I do think Bryce Elder's been serviceable on the road so far this year. Mitch Spence, I don't, like I said, fully trust. I guess I trust Atlanta to get their get back here, but their offense has been pretty damn stagnant. Like, they have 1 run scored, and I want to say it's like 1 run or less in like 6 of their last 10 games. In fact, I have that up if we could pull it up real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, they have 0 twice. So I don't know if I love this Atlanta offense. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you guys did enjoy, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button down below. Really do appreciate you guys. I know I say it too much, but you know what? I'll rant about that. And even the guppies being like, stop taking the time to say that. Why? Why can't someone give a little bit of praise, right? Appreciate you guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.